I sold every single one of them and they were like $100 paddles. So I was selling these paddles for like $20 to $50 a piece, and I sold 15 of them in like a month. So to me, that's my money. I'd come home and me and my wife would just like bicker, and it all just became, I was just super stressed out. And I was like, listen, I got to leave this job for the sake of our marriage. And you can make the same money, if not more. There is no risk. There's no capital out. I can put all my time and effort into these videos. And if they shut my account down tomorrow, I don't lose anything. You know what I mean? I don't lose a dime.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. Today we got TeeJay. He left Amazon to start an ATM business. He also does the Amazon influencer program. We're going to get into all of that. So what's going on, man? Thanks for being here.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. It's been overdue. I know we chat a lot on Instagram back and forth, so this was definitely overdue.
Yeah, we try not to do too many intros on here, so we'll just get straight into a question, because I noticed something different about you than a lot of Amazon influencer program people we have on. You put a lot of high quality stuff into like the Instagram, the YouTube. You're going for like the quality type thing, and it seems like a flywheel too of like people click your YouTube videos. You're not just on platform, right? So can you like walk through that? What was your reasoning behind doing all that stuff?
Yeah, so I actually, whenever I was doing Amazon FBA, I quit that, and then I started getting really into like YouTube with my car page and everything. And I really just like honed in on just having fun editing videos. And yeah, I mean, most people don't know I have a different car page like YouTube that's actually monetized. And I put a ton of time and effort into that. And I'm creeping in on like 2,000 subscribers. So I have a lot of hours into editing, and it's just a passion for me. I love doing it. So honestly, the big reason for me choosing to put a lot of time and effort into all my videos is just simply, the short answer is I love it. I love editing, and if I can do a little bit more to just have fun with it, it makes it more enjoyable for me, and I can utilize all the skills that I've kind of acquired and built over time with like the car YouTube and just apply it here on this AIP platform. Now, me and John go back and forth a lot about like, does that work? Is that good? Does that effort that you're putting in, do you see it paying off? And that's a point that it's kind of hard to answer that question like in one answer, but I can say long term, I think it's going to pay off a little bit more for me, because I am starting to see a lot of like opportunity with bigger products that like more expensive products that companies are willing to give to me because they just want to have a good video. Whether or not it produces sales conversions or not, I don't really necessarily think that they're too worried about that in general. I think that some of these people just like want to have a good video.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that before this. I was like, I guarantee that you get really good like deals for editing your videos like that, because there's probably like 2% of people on the whole platform. But I know how much it takes to edit too. Like I edit this podcast and stuff with like the intro and everything. Like it's not like it takes no time. Like that stuff takes time, especially when you're making high quality like product videos.
100%. And it's like I try to keep it minimized as much as I can on AIP, because AIP is more of like a volume game. Like my car YouTube page and everything was just simply out of passion, and every single video that I did on that page was probably, and I tell my wife this all the time, I actually have like, I'm creeping up on 100 videos, and every single video has taken me between 15 to 40 hours in total for each video. And that's going to be scripting it. With a lot of the car stuff I did, it was a lot of like how-to videos. So the actual installation process, something, and then editing and doing like the thumbnails and all the uploads and the hashtags and everything. And then I link like tons of products, and that's kind of the back end of how I got into like the AIP with the storefront, is because on that car page, every time I make a how-to video, I would just put a product of like, just say I'm using like this LED turn signal on this car and I'm installing it. Well, I'll link that LED turn signal on that page, and then I'll get like 6,000 views on that video, and I'll sell like 300 of them. So that's just straight through that link only. That's not an actual video that I'm making on the page itself. That's just a link. So yeah, a lot of that just has been definitely paying off as far as like the editing process goes.
What's the most you've ever sold on one? And like how much commission are you getting off of them? That's crazy to sell like
Like
300.
affiliate link.
Yeah, yeah.
So like the car one, I did do a turn signal video, and the product was like $45. So I think like in automotive it's like 4.5%. It's actually on the higher end. So I think it was like $2-3 per sale. And then yeah, I ended up selling like 300 in the first like month that I launched the video. And I think now at this point I probably sold like 600 to 800 off of that video. Just the link.
Yeah, it's been like almost $2,000 from it.
Just that link, yeah. And that ended up being a good video, and it was a popular car, so a lot of people were like looking to do that. And I just like I guess I just did good on like the thumbnails are so important. I think that's another thing that me and John were talking about is like, do the thumbnails work with AIP? And I think that again, I think that it comes down to the brand just wanting professional stuff on their page, period. Like, does it help? I don't know, because and all the tests that I do are from like my wife. Like anytime my wife makes videos on my AIP, I'd never usually make a thumbnail. And her videos perform just as well as mine with thumbnails. So as far as like YouTube in general goes, your thumbnail is everything. And if you don't have a good thumbnail, your video is not going to do well. Even if you have a banger video, people have to click on it, and if they don't, it's going to get swallowed up by the algorithm.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot so I've been making thumbnails for all the AIP videos as of late. Just because I feel like you're just gonna have a better shot if you're looking at the carousel or someone's scrolling on their phone. Like you need like some catchy like text, because like sometimes like you'll just see like this is like the frame and you're just like what is that? But if you see like someone actually like using it or like watching TV, you're like,
Yeah,
all right, like let me like they're actually using it. Like, but like if
right.
you just see the back of a remote, it's just like whatever. Which is really interesting. And yeah, how much time do you spend on your AIP videos, like on average? Like per video?
The AIP video, yeah. So I was getting into that. I guess I try to keep it pretty chill, and I give myself like cutoff times, but the videos are usually like 20-25 minutes in editing. I usually try to keep it under, but to be honest with you, I'm usually like at the 40-minute range per video with the editing process. And then what I do with like the thumbnails with like Canva, I have all my text and like my little green arrow that I use all the time. I have that all laid out on my Canva. So every time that I make a new video, I just import that in. I'm sure you do the same exact
Yeah.
thing. And that cuts down a ton of time just as that, because you're not like, hey, I'm trying to be super creative and come up with something completely different. Like it's all just there, and that streamlines it. And that's super important. And congrats on 3,000 videos, by the way, dude. That's freaking awesome, man. You have been putting in the grind.
I mean, I'm not doing 40 minutes of video. I would say on average, like maybe 5 minutes. It
Okay.
depends on the video. A lot of the times I try to do stuff where I could just sit here, go real quick, like this is what it looks like,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, take a screenshot up, and that includes like kind of uploading it and getting it like to the brand. I'd say between 5 and 10 minutes. But then there was like, I did like a metal detector the other day, and that's like you got to go outside, like you got to put it
Yeah.
together, like so. It just really depends on the video. But yeah, it's always interesting going back and forth with you because I feel like our conversions are about the same. I don't really
Yeah.
have any editing skills, but if you're like, yeah, my conversions are like 30%, I'm like, all right, I'll learn editing, but it's like kind of the same. I don't really have a passion for editing. So I'm like, I'll just kind of stick with the volume game for now, I guess.
And it's probably working for you. And if you have a higher conversion rate, I mean, like right now I'm hitting like tens. You're
That's
at
where
like
I am for the
15.
month. I think I'm like
Okay.
10.39% as of this morning. Um, which is, but like the creator connection one is much lower. The actual on-site is around like 10. I think creator connections is like 3 or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I'm
it's
like,
so much less volume, so it makes sense, I guess.
You
yeah.
know how much money you make per video?
Real quick, if you've been thinking about hiring a virtual assistant but don't know where to start, VA Fastlane makes the process dead simple. They just don't throw you a random VA. They actually line up 4 highly qualified candidates based on the skill level you need. Whether it's online arbitrage, wholesale, or whatever business model you're running, they got you covered. Then you interview the ones you like and pick the best fit. No guessing, no generic VAs who don't even know anything about Amazon. And it works whether you're just starting out or running a full-blown operation. They offer both part-time, 20 hours a week, and full-time, 40 hours a week.
Plus, they've already placed over 140 VAs for Amazon sellers, and they offer free unlimited replacements. So if someone isn't the right fit down the line, you're covered. It's run by Carter Maxwell. You've heard of him on the show, and he's built a team so dialed in, he only spends 4 to 5 hours a week on his own Amazon business. So if you're ready to scale with a VA who's trained, proven, and backed by a solid system, book a free call at the link below and talk to Carter. And make sure to ask about the special offer for the Side Hustle Experiment listeners. Like if you've done the math of like, okay, I made X this month and I have this many videos. Because I always talk to John about that. Like, I don't do any of the influencer program, but I'm like, I think that would be a decent metric of like dollar per video. Maybe
No, and like honestly, I think there's a lot of videos I goose egg on, to be honest with you. But what I try to do is with these bigger brands, like, and again, I was talking to John about this on like Instagram, and we like to go back and forth and like spitball ideas throughout the month, and that really helps me. But like, so let's just say like, so it's hard to say an actual metric. I'd say probably like 1 out of 5 videos I'm making like decent sales on, and then like 3, they just goose egg. But what I'm trying to do is like sometimes like when I get a lot of these companies that will DM me on my email, and once they come to me on my email, I feel like I automatically have the upper hand because they want me and they like my style, what they've seen already, they want. So every time they come into my email, I always shoot back with an answer of, hey, this is my price per video. Whether anything happens per sales or not, commission anything, you pay me this amount, and that's just me to edit the video and upload it to my storefront. And earlier on, like in February, I was having 5 products show up every day. It was starting to be overwhelming. So that's when I implemented that, was because I actually wanted these people off of my back, and because I didn't have enough time. So I was just like, okay, so if I shoot them a price, they're either going to say yes and it's going to benefit me and I'll squeeze them in, or they say no and I don't care because I don't have time for it anyway. So it's hard to say, but what I've been trying to do is look at it from a completely different aspect. Now, I do a lot of like selling on marketplace now, and when I'm scrolling through these products to ask for like a sample or anything, I'm looking at these products and I'm already looking at what's in season, what's going to sell. And usually what's coming across Campaign Connections is already in season. So you're not like, it's not like Christmas stuff, but like, I'm like, what is easy to sell right now? And pickleball paddles is one. You could look at my storefront. I have like 15 to 20 different pickleball paddles. And I got those back in March or February in thoughts that I was going to sell all of them in the past couple months, which I did. I sold every single one of them and they were like $100 paddles. So I was selling these paddles for like $20 to $50 a piece, and I sold 15 of them in like a month. So to me, that's my money, And I was telling John this: if I end up getting commission afterward, which I do, like the pickleball paddle things were like 30% of sales, so I was making like $5 a sale. That's great, but if I just shoot a video and I try to make it as quick as possible, and then I sell it for like $50, that's my payout.
Yeah. That's how I've started looking at it too. And like, you kind of brought me to that conclusion, because I'm just like, oh man, like, is it really, some of this stuff, like, you're not making commissions on, it feels like such a waste of time. But then it's like, I'm making all this money on Facebook Marketplace. Like last month I made, I think, a little bit over $1,000.
Nice.
Just like, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, like that on top of the commission makes it worth it. And now it's just like you were kind of saying before, it's like there's some stuff I got, I'm like, oh man, like this is gonna sell for like $300 on Facebook Marketplace. I got these vacuums, these like wet dry vacuums. They sell for like $400 or $500 on Amazon. couldn't sell them. Literally got $100 each for them,
Yeah.
which is fine. But the video is such a pain in the ass. So you got to do like cereal, you got to do water, like all these different scenarios. But I was just like, man, like you would think like a $600 product, you'd at least be able to get 300. And they've been listed for like 3 or 4 months. Like this isn't like a quick sale. They're taking up space. So I think that's the other thing you almost have to take into consideration, which I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, it's like if you're doing like a microphone or a water bottle, if it's off brand, that's going to hurt your conversion no matter what it sells for on Amazon. And you'll have to look too. Like, sometimes you get something from Creator Connections, it's like $80. And
Yeah.
then like someone on Marketplace, like I could get a new on Amazon for 40. And they totally dropped the price because they're not selling it themselves. So like you got to be aware of that.
Yeah.
But I found stuff like furniture, like no one cares if it like fits their decor, what they're looking for. They don't care what brand it is; they'll just buy it.
Right. Furniture definitely is huge for me, and I definitely have I have a pile of furniture in my entryway right now, going all the way from the door to my stairs right now, and it doesn't sell because I ended up picking black. And me and my wife, we love black. Well, like our house style and everything is like grays, blacks, and like natural wood. And I guess everyone around my area doesn't want black. So I think a lot of that is like being mindful as well as like your market area, because everyone's gonna be different. Like Drew's, yours, John, like whatever sells like around my area may not sell well in you. So let's just say, for instance, you're looking at a TV stand, okay, and you have farmhouse, you have modern, and then you also have like wood, wood color, black or white. So if I pick like farmhouse and white, that is going to sell like that in my area. But if I go ahead and pick modern and black, I'm going to be sitting on it, and I'm not going to be able to get top dollar, and I'm going to have to drop it to like it may be like $150 TV stand, but I'm going to have to drop it down to like $40 just to get rid of it. Now the farmhouse one, I could list it for like $100 and sell it in like 3 days. So that's definitely something to keep mindful as well.
How much are you selling usually a month on Facebook like that?
Facebook, I'm probably selling anywhere from 1,000 to like 2,500. I would say. Yeah, like right now,
over here.
dude, right now, I'm sitting on this outdoor furniture set. I actually already sold it. Like the guy already came to my house and gave me cash, and he's just like, I just can't pick it up. But I had the company send me this set. It's super nice. Like I love it. Like my wife is just like, I want to keep this, and I'm like, no. So, but it sold for $800 on Amazon, and I sold it. The guy gave me $700 cash already for it, and I'm still on it. So, but that's just like a quick sale. And the thing that I love about it is like it's a golden goose because I don't know if either of you have gotten into like UGC or anything like that, but when you get into the UGC space, there are so many demands. There's so many. You got to do this. You got to do that. We want it like this, and then you give them the final version, and they want you to make changes, and then you change it and submit it, and then they want you to make more changes. It becomes a pain in the butt. So it's like for this, and then on top of that, you're making like $100 for one UGC video, and you got to think a lot and get super creative. Now with this outdoor furniture set, it took me probably like 5 hours to build because it's like a 5-piece, but I ended up filming the video that took me like 3 minutes, and then I did an edit on the video that probably took me 20, and I sold it for $700. So there's like
over $100 an hour. It's like one.
That's what I mean, and I don't have any stipulations at all. Like at least for this company, they didn't say anything. And I think if you are putting out quality content, good content, and they just look at your page and they see that, they may just trust you and just be like, okay, I know he's going to do something good. They're not like, hey, I want you to spill water on this. Hey, I want you to, show the installation process. Like I had free reign on this product and I made a ton of money. It was great.
That's awesome. But you mentioned before, to switch track a little bit, you were talking about how you don't like Amazon very much in the FBA side of things. So talk a bit about that.
FBA. Yeah, let's talk about that. So
And why? And why? The big reason why, I guess, because a
So
lot of
the
people we
big
talk about it a
reason
lot.
That
why,
was one of the reasons you came on my radar, because like I kind of knew you before, and then I saw the video like I quit Amazon. I'm like, let's like get into this, and then you're like, I'm doing AIP. I'm like, all right, like I gotta send him a DM and let's start talking about AIP, because like that's basically what I did.
yeah. So like, dude, so back in like 2021, I was a service advisor at a car dealership, and I was making like 60 grand a year. I was hating my life because I worked 11-hour days, and it just sucked. I'd come home and me and my wife would just like bicker, and it all just became I was just super stressed out, and I was like, listen, I gotta leave this job for the sake of our marriage. And she's like, all right, well, I'm behind you 100%. And before that happened, I started diving into like Amazon, and then I was finally like, I think I can make this work. So I got into it, and I did it for like 2.5 years, and I had good months. Like I had months I sold like 80,000 in revenue, and I was doing like half a mil a year in revenue, which was okay. It was like $50,000-$60,000, net. Wasn't anything crazy, but you keep getting these like, it's like the third party sellers, man, and it's like you just keep getting like slapped on the wrist for like everything that you do. And this is what we're getting into. It's like I hated them, man. They were terrible. And you just get in trouble for everything. You wake up one day, you got 10 IP complaints, and like most of the time I didn't even do anything about it. I think I had like 15 IP complaints, and I still had good account health. So I was like, what's going on here? Are you guys just like threatening me or what? I just stopped worrying about them. And they start taking more percentage out. Whenever like COVID hit, they had the increase, and man, it just started getting so hard to make money on that, on Amazon. And I would have like $5,000 out on a product, $2,000 out on a product, and all of a sudden some idiot would say that it's counterfeit, and I would get all my stuff stuck at Amazon. I couldn't get it out. So you'd go from having a month where you just profited like 6, 7K, and then the next month you lose like 2, 3K because of some idiot that like probably isn't even thinking it's really fake. They just want to get you in trouble and like kicked off the platform or off the listing. And I got to take the loss for that. And it's like time and time after that again. It's like you put all this time and effort into it, and the payout just wasn't quite what, like, the risk and reward. There was, what was I made a note about this, but Amazon had so much risk involved and so much capital involved to make X amount. And then the next month, you didn't really know what was going to happen. And I always felt like I was taking 10 steps forward and like 3 steps back, because listings were just, I'd have to find new listings, and they'd come and go. And, and then you find AIP, and it's like, there's no risk. There is no risk involved. It's insane. And you can make the same money, if not more. There is no risk. There's no capital out. I can put all my time and effort into these videos, and if they shut my account down tomorrow, I don't lose anything. You know what I mean? I don't lose a dime. And it's not risky. I think that, somebody could come into AIP from a 9 to 5, and I think in about like 4 to 6 months you could build yourself up to where you could quit your job and go full-time in AIP. And that could solely be off of just filming everything you have in your house first, and then getting into creator connections, get a couple products, and start doing what we're all doing, or me and John. And I think somebody could really make a living very quickly that way, rather than just throw a huge risk into Amazon and not know what's going to happen. And guys, I'm not still in Amazon, so I've been out for like over a year, so I don't even know what it's like anymore at this point.
And I love the risk reward thing. I've said that so many times on here. It's like when you're doing a business where you're selling like a 20% ROI, like one thing can mess you up really, really bad. Like you said, you could make 10 grand, but you're going to lose 5 grand on like the next month on something random. And it's like, whoa, man, now I'm making like not much money at all. And it just keeps adding up. And then eventually, like, what's the end game? Like, you can't just sell the whole business for a big multiple. You just have to sell your inventory, which if you have it, it probably sucks. So you're going to get like
label.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But So the OARA type thing, I don't know, man. It is tough risk reward when there's stuff like that out there where it's like your time, you just shove time into something and eventually you'll have somewhat of a payout somewhere with no risk to your name.
Yeah. So my neighbor actually is like, I'm not going to name drop him for the sake of him, but he's pretty big in uh into Amazon with like the private label thing, and like he actually teaches a lot of people, and he's really big in YouTube, and he trains a lot of people, but he has kind of said the same thing. And when we started, he was always like the private label guy, and I was the third party seller. And he'd always be like, "Man, they're trying to push you out. They're trying to push you out." I'm like, "No, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good." And then, lo and behold, all this time later, it's like, he was actually right. And he's actually telling me a lot with like, I don't know how it is with like tariffs and everything now, but Amazon was trying to kick out like USA private labelers and making it a lot easier for like people in China that have the products to like make more money and kind of push out the USA Amazon private label sellers, so they could get the people actually from China making all the money. And it's like, what's going on? At one point it was like, I'm sure all of us at one point were thriving in Amazon and we were loving it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you go 3 years later and, it's like, what happened? What happened? I saw myself like, obviously, I think about a year or so in is when it started to really change for me. And that's when I looked at my wife and I said, I don't think that this is going to be a long-term thing. And from that point, I kind of already was like planning my exit. And I was already planning my exit, and I knew at the end of the year what I was going to do. And I ended up making a really big push. And I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, by the way, but I ended up making the craziest push on eBay. And I found this guy that was selling these like adapters for a game console, and I ended up getting him down to like a super low rate, cost per unit. And my margins I was gonna be like 60% margin profit per unit. I was gonna make like 20 some dollars per sale, and I bought like 4,000 of them off of this guy on eBay, and I spent $35,000 in one click, and that was my exit. And I was supposed to make $40,000 profit in a month, and I was just gonna do that, be done. The listing started tanking. People started getting these units and saying that they were like counterfeit. So I started to get really nervous, and I just like liquidated everything really fast because I'm like, dude, I need to at least get my money back, because it was the same thing I was saying before. If I get a counterfeit claim on these, which this is funny, guys, because I did get a counterfeit claim on them. I actually got 3, and I had an eBay invoice. Okay, I didn't buy these from a legit supplier. I bought them on eBay. So, Amazon, submit your invoice to get out of the IP complaint to prove it's real. Well, what I did was, I was working with a wholesaler. It was like Medcare LLC or something basic, but I worked with a wholesaler for a little bit. And all I did was take that invoice from them. It had none of the products that I was actually selling, none of these adapters. And I submitted it to Amazon, and they accepted it.
That's nuts. That
And
just shows how like automated like garbage that whole
dude,
system.
it had like deodorant on it. It had like Burt's Bees chapstick, like nothing to do with these adapters at all. And they accepted it. And then I got another counterfeit claim, and I sent the same invoice in, and they accepted it again. I did that 3 times. And I'm like, what is going on?
How much you end up making?
Like $4,000.
Oh, that sucks. I think
Damn.
we were gonna get 40 and you got
Dude,
40.
I was supposed to get 40, yeah. I told my wife, I was like, I'm buying a new car when I get to that. No, but you know what happened at the end of it? So I was lucky enough to get out, and I was really thankful about that. But at the whole end of it, I had about, on my exit, I was like, this is, my wife, I was like, this is the time where I gotta get out. I took all my money. I had about $40,000, and I ended up just buying 6 ATM machines. And I was like, this is something that I'm actually going to try to put my money towards to make it stable income, hopefully. can make this like generational, or, you know, it's an investment that at least I could have something to say like Amazon wasn't a waste of my time. So
Mm.
now I kind of look at these machines as like I'm kind of still making money on Amazon because that investment paid off with these. Now, you know, that was like 40 grand. So I took um each ATM machine costs about 3 grand. And I bought 6 of them, and then you have to stock them with about $2,000 to $5,000 each. Excuse me. And so that was another like $20,000 that I had into it. So I at least had somewhere to put my money to start a next chapter, because I still wasn't like I wasn't working 9 to 5 anymore, and like I haven't worked a 9 to 5 since 2021, since the end of it. And you know, thank God for that. It's nice because, dude, I'm sitting on my patio right now, like enjoying the weather in Pennsylvania on my deck, chatting with you guys, and I'm not at a 9 to 5 hating my life. So
That's
it's
crazy. I feel like you're probably pretty fortunate because I don't know many people that like kind of leave Amazon with actual money. It's usually kind of like a disaster, or they're like liquidate and there's really nothing liquid to like kind of roll it into something else. But go more into the ATMs. So you paid for all the ATMs. Kind of how does the process work? Like how do you make money? How do you get them placed? Is it like a pain like to do it? Like how's it
And
work?
how'd you even get started too? What even gave you the idea as well?
So that's a good question. So, you know, I've just like, my wife obviously knew I didn't want to go back to work or do anything like that. And when this was starting to happen, I kind of was already having an idea of something that I was going to do. And I actually was thinking about like vending machines, to be honest with you, because I was like, okay, I already had a warehouse, by the way, still, because, and I was thinking with a vending machine business, you're going to have all of your products, all of your snacks and drinks, and have them like, you're going to have them somewhere. Like, I can't just like store in my house, depending on how big you are. So I was like, okay, but I was like, it's kind of relatively the same. You buy these and you sell them high. It's kind of like Amazon, but it's like, I guess it's a little bit more stable, whatever. And she just like found this like Instagram video of somebody that was, I'm not going to mention the guy's name because I don't like him, but oh, sorry guys. And she sent me the Instagram, and she said, hey, check this out. And it was just like somebody saying, hey, like you could do ATMs, they make the X amount. It was just like a nice Instagram that said spend this, make this. And I got me a little bit interested. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna look into it. So I did look into it more, and I was like, okay, maybe this could be something that I would go into. So I gave it a shot, and I started and like, you know, just like Amazon, I'm 100% self-taught. I never like bought a course or like did anything. And I kept my circle really small, and I only had a few people in it. And I think when I was selling on Amazon, I didn't know either of you, or I didn't talk to either of you. Like, I think I might have seen you, John, like pop up a little bit here and there, but I kept my stuff small and I really talked to many people. So that was just something that um, I just do. So I self-taught myself about the ATM business. I was like, what can I learn about this? Started getting on YouTube, and the easiest way to go about it is you find a supplier that is kind of your all in all, and they do pretty much almost everything for you. So they have they sell the ATMs at a good price. They sell the internet. They give you a processing company, which you have to have a processing company back up your ATM. So when someone sticks a card in there, that money goes to the processor, and then the processor puts that into your bank. So you have to have that associated. It's like a lot to understand. So I just did a little bit of research. I called a couple different companies, and the way that I found the company that I wanted to work with was, I was like, okay, whoever calls me like back, or, you know, I kind of did a test where I was like, because I was brand new to it, I'm like, I'm gonna call these people 5 different times within like a week, and I want to see like what company answers the phone, because when you're starting something new like that, I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have somebody I knew that I could like rely on. So I'm like, I just need these people to be able to answer the phone when I have a question. So I ended up finding a company where every time I called 5 times, they answered every time, and I'm like, that's the company I want to go with, and they still do. They're great. And what I did was I ended up just doing a little bit of research on my machines, talking to them, and figure out which ones are reliable, which ones are a good cost. What do I want to go with? What's the most popular, easy to work on? and I ended up going with a Hyosung Halo 2 and the Gen Mega Onyx. And Gen Mega is known as a super reliable ATM machine that doesn't really have many problems, and it kind of looks like the Onyx looks really nice, but it's more expensive. But their like base model is like a workhorse, but I don't think it looks as nice as the Hyosung Halo 2 is the one that I ended up going with. I just think it looks better. But the process that you go about is you kind of just make up a contract because essentially you want to have a contract whenever you are going in with these businesses because number one, you want to protect your investment. Like these machines cost 3 grand. So if I find a spot and it's like doing well, I want to know that I'm not just going to walk in one day and they're going to be like waiting there for me. Like, hey, we have another guy that's coming in here and we're going to kick you out. So I definitely like got onto that quickly and I'm really happy that I did do that. But I ended up making a custom contract with my wife. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you guys are married, but having a wife is a huge asset. You guys married?
No.
Okay. Well, I just advise you guys when you do find that woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with, make sure that they're on the same page with you about your dreams and like share your goals and the things that you're into because my wife is a tremendous asset to me. And honestly, without her backing me up, I wouldn't be half of the man that I am and in the stuff that I've done because every time I want to do something, she's right there helping me out, backing me up. And it's just been a huge, huge blessing to me. And I'm really thankful for her. But we ended up writing this contract together and it ended up being really good. And we just came to like an agreement that we were like, all right, we're going to try to lock these ATM owners in or these location owners in for like 3 years. But so the process is, it's pretty simple. I mean, you basically are going to just find a place that you think would have very high foot traffic where people may need money. But the real gold winners for ATMs are places that are cash only. Now, that's probably common sense, but if you guys have any places like near you or anything that like barber shops, nail salons, like pizza shops, places where people need the cash is where it's going to hit. And at the end of the day, it's 2025. The ATM boom was like back in 2008. So I'm a little bit late to the game and there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of other people out here and I've ran into a ton of other people that are already doing it. A lot of the locations around me where I think they'd be a good fit are already taken. And that's a hard pill to swallow. So I've had to fight so much more than the next guy because there's not so much opportunity there. But you can call them, look around, and just get on the phone and just be like, hey, do you guys have an ATM? Have you ever thought about getting one? Do you have a need for cash? You kind of have to feel that stuff out. Do a little bit of research on the back end with these companies. Look at the stats of them. They're like ratings, review ratings on Google. You can click the about page, and usually when you scroll to the bottom, you can see like if they are cash only, it'll be specified there. Yelp is also really good because that's one of the only places you can actually search cash only businesses and actually find a result. But yeah, after you get them, you just kind of present your case and you're just like, hey, I can cut down on credit card processing fees if you use credit cards. If you don't, and you're cash only, you don't have an ATM, there's a lot of customers that you could be losing at this point. And they might be going to the ATM and it may be a little bit further. It's an inconvenience for them. They may not come back and your sale conversions are going to go down and you could potentially be losing customers. So you kind of have to sell the fact of, hey, I'm here to help. And I can supply an ATM to you at zero cost. I am going to fill the machine with my own money. I'll be here on a weekly basis. I'm going to keep the machine completely full of cash. It's going to be my cash. I use wireless internet, so I'm not going to have to hook up to anything except for a 110 AC outlet just for the machine to be plugged into. And that's literally it. I come in, I install it, and that's pretty much the end of that. And if they're having a hard time, accepting that, sometimes you can just come at them and be like, hey, and this is really common in the industry, to give them a little bit of a percentage per transaction. So normally it's all going to be relative to your area. Like John and Drew, your areas are going to be completely different than Pennsylvania and what the actual surcharge average. I'm sure you guys could have used an ATM and you guys probably can think in your head right now what the average is. Like around me, it's $3. So you can either stay at the average. If you come in and you're like, oh, I want to be at 350 or 4, they're going to be like, get out of here. But you can also sell them on the fact of, hey, I would like to come in and put this ATM at like 199. At that point, I can't give you a split because I don't have anything left on the table. Because me personally, I try to make like $2 to $2.50 per transaction. And, if they're okay with that, you can sell it that way and be like, if I keep it at 199, I could get more people coming back because they know that this could be the lowest ATM around. But if you want a little kickback, I usually will give them like 50 cents a transaction. So depending on how good the ATM does, if it gets 100 transactions, I'm going to write you a check for $50 at the end of the month. And, to them, they're not going to be sitting there relying on that, but you're basically telling them, hey, I value being in your location. So I'm going to, I'm going to reward you and show you the value. I appreciate you. It's just a little bonus for them.
How's the math work out on this? So you pay $3,000 for these machines, making like the two. Like, how profitable is this? Is it even profitable yet? Does it take a long term? How much do you make?
Yeah, it is. So
If you could just take 2 seconds and subscribe to this YouTube channel, we would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get to 5K subscribers by the end of the year, and the more subscribers we have, the better guests we can get for you. So you literally just take 2 seconds right now, hit subscribe. It will also let you know when new episodes go live and everything we're up to. Thank you so much.
well, most of the time, like in all reality, I've been getting a little bit better at it. I've been getting better locations, but when you first start off, depending on your area and how much competition there is, if you go in and you find a banger, you're going to be making bank. Like you're going to pay your machine off very quickly. But in retrospect, you probably want to be making at least $200 in revenue per month on your machine. And that's pretty like average. Now, I have machines that like do less than that, guys, and I'm just being 100% real with you because the competition is high out here. And sometimes you really don't know what you're going to end up getting until you're there. I have one of my ATMs in a smoke shop, and some people are they're not necessarily a cash driven place. So it's a busy place. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't really guess how good this is going to do unless you just put it in there and you see, and then there's a lot of machines that I've had to remove and I've had to take it out and I bolt these to the ground. So I have to have those difficult conversations of, hey, what can we do to get these a little bit more transactions, or hey, this isn't working anymore, I'm gonna have to take this out. And they're hard conversations to happen, but I think Amazon FBA has taught me a lot, and that's something I'm grateful for. It's taught me a lot about business and how to operate a business. But to answer your question, John, typically, if you're paying off a machine in about a year and a half, you're doing pretty well. I would think like you're in the average standpoint. Now you want to kind of be like in the 5-month range or like the half a year and then start profiting. But you have to look at these as an investment, because once you have that, like most of the time these ATMs are workhorses. So whenever you have them in there, they're going to last years, 5-10 years before you have to do really anything or like maybe a little bit maintenance here and there. So, if you can get your machine paid off in a year and a half, and then now your revenue has gone up $200, $300, $500 a month, and all you got to do is go in there and fill it up once a week or so. I mean, it's pretty nice. It starts to add up.
Yeah, it's like a volume game, I guess. Because the more machines you have, that more 300 and 500s you can stack. I mean, it could get pretty big.
100%, and it definitely adds up. And a big challenge that I've been trying to overcome is I've had some machines that haven't been doing quite well, but I've had them all out. Like all 6 were out in locations, but some of them weren't doing well. And then you find somebody else that you have a good opportunity to maybe make some more. Like, I put a machine out, maybe I'm making $50 a month. It was a trial. I didn't know if it was going to do good, but the question is, is number one, if you don't have a location ready for that next one to go, you're better off leaving that machine there because number one, it's not going to take up storage in your garage space. It's free storage at that place. You might only be making $50 a month, but you can kind of have that conversation with them or not, and just kind of, you write up your contract so that you can get yourself out if you need to. Like I write up my contract to where if my ATMs aren't performing, and I don't write a number because it's up to me. But if my ATMs are not performing in a way that I think they should be, then I'm able to go in there and take them out on like a week's notice or whatever. So I'd rather just leave the machine there. But a thing I've been, challenged with is, do you buy a new machine or do you leave one in that like is making $100 a month? Or, it's like, because some of the time you're still guessing on the next location. So it's just, it's a volume game, Drew. That's definitely what it is.
What you got, John?
So for the ATMs, so you're going and manually putting it in yourself?
Yeah, so, and the reason why I do that, John, is because whenever, and a nice thing is when you're brand new, is when I went into um, this business service where this company provides everything for me. Not only do they provide me with the processing, the support, and the machines, but they also supply me with an ATM installer at my expense. But they at least have somebody available, coordinated, where if I want to order a machine for them, I can tack onto the cost somebody to come out and install the machine and also to program the machine. So if any of you guys play like Xbox or have played like any games in your lifetime, whenever you put a brand new Xbox and like set it up and plug it into the wall, you know how you have to configure everything, set up all the settings, and get everything right before you can start playing. That's how an ATM machine is. And there's usually a whole programming list to where you can have somebody like come out and they can program everything. It takes like an hour and a half. You got to type in all of these. You're like coding the machine and telling it where the money needs to go, what banks to go to, how to like all of these different, like the surcharge. So you guys are really smart, and I've learned a lot through business to where if you can save a dime, it helps, and especially in that business. So in order to have somebody come out and program my machine costs $250. So you can imagine that I ended up figuring out how to reprogram these machines myself, because essentially when I order a machine and I program these machines, I'm saving $250 right off the rip. And that's huge to me because if my location's making $100 a month, that's almost 3 months worth of revenue before I get that money back. And then I need to start paying off the machine to get into the black. So I quickly learned how to reprogram. And this company that I work with, they'll actually walk you through that too, as well, if you have any questions. And also the installing, I think they charge another 150 to 250 depending on the location and everything for installing the machine. So again, you're almost like $300 to $500 out on top of everything already. So if you can cut that out, you're going to pay off your machine a lot faster. So what I did was I ended up going out to Lowe's and I bought myself a hammer drill, a big hammer where like the bit is like this long, guys. And I had to teach myself. I basically faked it, and I went into I sold a business on a machine, and I went in and I started drilling into these marble floors, guys, without even knowing what I was doing because I didn't have a practice point. And I'm drilling like 6 inches into the concrete with a hammer drill, essentially so I could save $250. But that hammer drill cost me $300, so I've already installed like 4 machines with it, so it paid itself off after the next one of just saving money. So yeah, it's I had to teach myself, but as you guys know, if you're trying to save a couple bucks, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. This might be a crazy question, but I bet you have some insight here. I wonder what it would take to get one of those ATM machines in a strip club or a casino, one of those things that have like massive volumes of cash going around. Do you know anything about like what would it take you making some huge deal with the thing? Because that's ideally, those are the top two places, right? That's where you'd like really want, but they're already covered up mostly, I would assume.
Technically, yeah. Like morally, I wouldn't go into a strip club personally.
Okay, clear enough.
I've had opportunities already. Like I already have ran into people that have offered that. Now, yeah, they're cash cows, I'm sure. And I know, like, just like being in all these groups and everything where you talk to community. I'm in ATM groups on like Facebook and stuff, and yeah, people have strip clubs and they make like $3,000 a month in revenue. You're paying off a machine in 1 month.
Mhm.
So there you go. But as far as like casinos go, like I'm not a gambling man, but like, casinos around me have $10 surcharges.
Yeah.
That's freaking high, especially when the average surcharge around here is like $3. So to have something that's $10 is pretty wild. But I guess once you're in there, you're in there. But to answer your question, Drew, I would say that it really comes down to who you know. I think is really important. And if you are somebody that I'm not this type of guy, but if you're somebody that likes to hang around a lot of entrepreneurs and get in those groups of like startups and people, I think that in the ATM community, that's probably a good place to be, because since a lot of the locations that are good are already taken, if you can find a business that's already that's about to blossom, that's about to start, and you know the person, and just say you're talking to them, and you build a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Connection.
Yeah, you built
Oh,
fire.
is that why that happens?
What is that?
I don't know. I've never seen that before. The word
Okay,
just
I didn't
exploded.
click any buttons, so okay. So yeah, if you're building, I guess I was just like, yeah. If you're,
We've never seen that, but that's pretty cool.
hey man, but
But
yeah,
okay, what was that?
rapport. If you're building a rapport with that person, you're gonna probably have a better chance of getting in and have. Now, on the other hand, I have friends that own businesses. That I have friends that own barbershops that are cash only, and they already have people that are in there. And I've tried to get in, and another thing you can do is try to up your ante. Like I said before, that if you're doing like 50 cents a transaction and you're paying that to the business owner, and somebody's already in a location that's kind of doing somewhat that, you can come in and is what it is. It's business, but you can be like, hey, I'll give you 50%. If they already have proven margins, and one of the guys that I know has a barbershop that he does 400 transactions a month. Now he likes to keep his transactions low at like $2. So the ATM owner there is making like 800, and he pays him 50 cents a transaction. So every month the barbershop owner gets like $200. And I told the barbershop owner, I was like, hey, I'll give you, because as you start being in this community, you can see what like ATM routes, you can actually sell them, guys. So like after you build these up and you have like signed contracts, like you can sell them with your LLC, and like you can learn how to value them too. So usually whatever your ATM is doing on a monthly basis, revenue is kind of how you can value that. So just say for simple numbers sake, an ATM is making $100 a month in revenue. That's low, but let's just say for easy math. Now, the way that you would value that to sell your location would be anywhere from valuing that revenue from 12 months to 18 months. So if that's doing 100, 12 months would be $1,200. It's low, guys, but this is just for one machine. Like if you had a route, this is how you would value it per machine. And assuming that these locations have signed contracts. If they don't have signed contracts, all you can do is sell your machines, because the location can kick you out as soon as they find a new business owner that they don't like. But anyway, 18 months would be about $1,800 in revenue plus the cost of the machine. So the machine's about $3,000, but you would kind of value that at like half. So it'd be like $1,500. So essentially, if a location's doing $100 in revenue, you could sell that location for about $3,000 ish, maybe a little less. You know, yeah.
So, is there like an app or anything that tells you how much money is in each machine?
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually use a software system. So it'll tell me if the machines are low, and it'll show me like on a daily basis, just like Amazon, when we scroll through and we're like refreshing that page. Ding, 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 ding. You know what I mean? That's what I do on my ATM app now. I just sit there and go do 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 and just watch the transactions roll in, and you can also see how much money is in each machine, and you can set different boundaries to where when your machine goes, like if you have a busier location that you don't want to drop below $1,000, you can set that to where you'll get a text message. If it drops below $1,000, you'll know, hey, I got to go fill this up. But it's really easy to track and manage through the app. And, that was a really good question, but that's something that also had a huge deterrence on whenever I ended up picking a processing company, is because I wanted an app that I could see on my phone, because not every processing company has an app. You have to go into the computer. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I want to be able to see what I'm doing in real time, and that is huge.
What processing company do you use? Like Stripe, that type of stuff? Or is this a different type of processing company?
Yeah, it's a different type of processing company. It's not Stripe. That would be like credit card.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't
so
know how that stuff worked.
I actually did get into that a little bit as well. I never got any sales, but that is huge. If you can hit it, I'm not going to get into this too much, but I was in credit card processing for a little bit, and the way that works is interesting. But just to let you guys know, like, if somebody pays a credit card processing fee of like 3%, me selling that and setting that up as a business owner, I would get 1% for every transaction that would happen. So, you know, um, yeah, if a business was doing like $200,000 a month in revenue, I would just get $2,000 dropped into my bank account every single month for just setting them up one time. But and that was another thing I tried. But I set up probably 5 different meetings with different business owners, and I went 5 plus 7 meetings with each of these people, and I never closed anybody. But if I did, it was going to be good. I just never made it happen, and I exited that. But that's a whole different thing. It's a different ATMs is a completely different processing company.
Okay. And what's the so I guess what's like the processing, like this is probably like not even beneficial to anybody, but I'm just curious, and we're coming up on an hour. So like what's processing there?
Yeah,
Like,
and if you guys need to go a little bit over the time, that's okay.
I'm just curious, like what's the like what's happening in an ATM? Like how's this thing working? Because you just like I don't how's the cash come out? How's the credit card go in? Like what's the software backend look like at that?
There's a lot of it that I don't understand, Drew, but I will tell you this, there's a lot of back end. So if somebody puts their card in an ATM machine and they take out $20, and excuse me, if my surcharge is set at $3, so they're going to get charged $23. So that's going to go through the processing company. They're going to alert their bank that they're going to pull $23 out of their bank, and that's going to go through this processing company. Now the processing company, there's like a some kind of interchange. It doesn't come out of my $3, but there's some kind of back end interchange that I don't understand, to where it's like 30 cents or something for every transaction that those processing companies get to keep for processing that. And then they send that directly to my bank, if that answers your question. So you can set it up to every single day or whatever, but every day, whatever money was taken out, I get all of that back the next day, goes straight into my bank account, which is really nice. And also the surcharge. So, if I had a good day yesterday, all of that money is right back in my bank account. So if an ATM gets low, all that cash is right back in my bank again. So I can go straight to the bank and I can take all that money back out and refill it, which makes it a lot easier for me, because I don't have to wait a week. I don't have to wait a month for like payout, because I could never do that. I got to have access to that cash, almost immediately.
And it's all flat transactions. So it's like, what if I want to withdraw $1,000, I still just pay $3, or is it a percentage gets stacked up?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's different ways to actually go about it and set up your machine, but usually usually I set up my machine to like a $200 max limit. So if, let's just say you want to take out $600, you're going to have to do 3 different transactions, which means I'm going to make $9, and then you're going to take out 600. You know what I mean? But another way to, and usually you want to set it up like that, because like I can set it up in a way that if I have a larger dispense rate, then let's just say you're taking out $600, but I'm only making $3. Now I'm gonna have to go to that ATM, and I'm gonna have to fill that machine up so much more, and I'm making a lot less. So if you're doing the 200 dispense limit, you're making 3 times the amount. So if your ATM, like one of my ATMs is 45 minutes away. So if I want to drive out to that ATM machine, I have to make it worth it. So if I'm only making $3 for every like 600, now my gas is starting to eat into my profits. Depending, like if you're making more, whatever. But another way you can set it up is percentage wise. So I have one of my machines set up to $3 or 1.5%, which kind of equates to the same thing. So if they take out $200, it's $3 surcharge. But anything more than that, I let them take out one, like on a one-time transaction, up to about 800 is what I set it to. So if they want to take out $800 in one transaction, they can, but they're going to pay 1.5%. So it's going to be the exact same. So instead of them doing, what is it, 4 transactions, they're doing 1, and I'm still making $12.
Sweet. Yeah, that was a good explanation of all that stuff.
Yeah.
I understand it a lot better now.
Yeah, there's a lot, and again, it's just all a lot like learned on the job and just doing it, and figure. And I didn't even know I could do that for a while, but it helps. And I have one of my ATMs is by a notary, so a lot of people do take out like $1,000 and stuff because they're buying cars and doing all this stuff. So I'll get these like $15, $18 surcharges in one transaction, and it's nice.
Do you usually fill them on the same days? And if you do you ever get nervous? Because you're driving around with like 20, 30 grand?
Yeah, I'm driving around a little bit, yeah, around that amount usually. And I try to set everything up in a proximity because I'm in like a radius, I don't know, 5 mile radius of my machines. But if I fill all my machines up in one day, it takes me about 3.5 hours to drive to every spot. So some of the ones that are a little bit further, and again, guys, if we go over time, I'm all right. But uh, if on the locations that I go a little bit further out, like 45 minutes, I try to fill those machines up for like 3 weeks to a month's worth, so that I don't have to go back. And on that note, I let the owner know, hey, you need to clean this machine because I'm not going to be coming in every week. Now, if there's an issue, I'll be here, but you know, I'm not going to come in and drive that far just to dust it off. Like, clean the machine. I'll give you some products that you can clean the machine, and that's fine. But for those locations, it helps me save gas and save time as well. Some of my other locations that are closer, like John, I was just telling you, I just landed a cash only ice cream shop, and that thing is fire. I just landed, like, literally by the grace of God. I was so happy. Like, this ice cream shop, it hits hard, and I'll be getting like 15 to 20 plus transactions in a day, and it just like adds up, and it's like at a $3 surcharge, it's like you're making $60 in surcharge, and I'm out hanging out with my wife on a Sunday doing nothing. It's like that's the passive part of it that I like, and it just adds up and up, and I really didn't know how well that location was going to go, but it ended up turning into a really, really good one. Now, ice cream shop in my area, being in Pennsylvania, is seasonal, so that one's going to be open from like April to October. So it's about a 6 month stretch, but in those 6 months, I'm going to be making some cash.
Well, man, we are climbing over the hour. So, is there anything you'd like to leave the people with? Any words of advice, any words of wisdom, things like that?
Oh, let me see. I think I wrote something down. I don't know.
Off the top of the dome.
So two things I will say. One thing I will say for Amazon AIP, and then I'll say another. Well, let's just say this in general. Consistency is key. Don't be afraid to teach yourself how to do anything. There's so much free content out there on YouTube, and anybody can tap into that. It's all accessible. YouTube University, whatever. So definitely just stay consistent. Time will come. I've been doing this ATM business for 2 years, and it's finally starting to pay off a lot more, and I'm really happy about it. But when it comes to AIP, I'd say the number one thing that I would say for advice is whenever you're asking brands for samples and you're scrolling through all of those different products and you come across listings that have 0 stars and 0 reviews, the first thing you're going to think of is, hey, if I make a video, I'm probably not going to get any sales because nobody's even looking at this product yet. But the way that you actually should be thinking is immediate payoff. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of brands that are coming on AIP that are brand new, that have 0 stars, 0 ratings, and they are simply looking for somebody to give them a good quality video. And if you're going to be that person, they're going to be willing to give you a very high-end product for free with limited to no expectations attached to that product. And what you should be thinking on the back end is, I'm going to make a great video for them, but I'm going to sell this on Marketplace and make even more money than I would on a listing that has 100 to 1,000 sales per month on a product. So that's definitely my biggest tip, and that's something that I'm definitely trying to do.
That's awesome. Where can people find you?
So people can find me at tj.finds, and you can check out my TeeJay LC YouTube channel if you guys are into cars. Also, TeeJay Reviews Amazon on YouTube. I post there almost every day. So yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on here. I love you guys. I'm super happy that both of you are doing really well with your business. And again, John, congrats on that 3K. That's a big accomplishment.
Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. Go follow TeeJay, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.
If you enjoyed that video and want to learn more about the Amazon Influencer Program, we did an episode with Kyle and James, which will be linked right over here or right over there. So if you want to learn how to do the Influencer Program, we did about an hour episode, exactly what you need to do, how to get started. Enjoy the episode, like this one, and go watch that one and get after it.